Okay, hello everyone. Everyone on Zoom and on Facebook. Welcome to the Riverwood Conservancy's Turtle Meet and Greet. My name is Stephanie. I'm the Community Program Coordinator at the Riverwood Conservancy. And today I'm joined by two of my wonderful colleagues. Our Education Program Manager and Leeds High School Program Teacher, Catherine, will be introducing us to some turtle friends and teaching a little bit about wild turtles. And as well, we have Carrie, our Enabling Garden Coordinator, who will be leading a craft to follow. For all of you who are watching with classes today, please send in the chat the grade and the number of students. This helps us keep records and improve programs. As well, please change your view to speaker view so that you can see the turtles close up and who is speaking today. Before we get to today's presentation, we have a couple housekeeping notes. If you like this presentation, we have 2 more free sessions this week. One will be on Thursday at 1 p.m. and one will be on Friday at 1 p.m. So please visit our website to register for those programs as well. Each day is a little bit different. And some really exciting news, our virtual education sessions are up and running on our website. So if you would like to bring one of our educators to your classroom or special needs group, please book a visit through the riverwoodconservancy.org/virtual education, and I will actually put that into the chat as well. For any other details on how to support us or see the work that we do, please visit the riverwoodconservancy.org. Before I hand it off to Catherine, the Riverwood Conservancy would like to acknowledge that the land on which we operate is the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and the traditional homeland of the Anishinaabe, Wendat, and Haudenosaunee nations. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada treaties and is within the lands protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, this place is still home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on this land. If you have any questions for Catherine, myself, or Carrie today, during the presentation or after the presentation, please type them in the Q&A tab or the chat bar on Zoom, and I will try to get to the questions on Facebook as well in the comments. So, without further ado, I will turn things over to Catherine. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Hello, everyone. We are so happy that you're joining us today at the Riverwood Conservancy. And I'm sure many of you have been to Riverwood before, and you've gone for a hike on our beautiful trails through the forests and down into our wetland habitats. The Credit River runs right through the boundary of Riverwood, and there are some lovely slow moving pools of shallow water there, as well as some shallow ponds that make just a perfect home for animals that look something like this. I'd like to introduce you to one of our animal ambassadors today. I am here with my wonderful friend. I hope you can see my friend in our camera today. You can let us know in the chat if you can see our friend well. This is one of our classroom pet turtles. Now, if you were to go for a walk at Riverwood, you wouldn't necessarily see a turtle that looks exactly like this, but I'd like to figure out what kind of turtle you can see here in your camera. So the first thing I'd like you to do is look at this sweet looking face of this turtle. And what I hope you'll see are some burgundy or red colored markings along the side of the turtle's face. And as well as those red markings, I think you might notice that the color of this turtle's skin is this beautiful lemony yellow color. And she's also got a lot of patterning, almost like someone has taken a marker and colored on her skin with a black or a brown marker. Look at the beautiful colors. And well, she's tucked her legs in tight here, but I think you can see some of that striping. So we've got yellow skin with some red stripes. We can see her shell here. This is called her plastron here. And we're going to turn her over so that you can see her tummy with these beautiful patterns on a sort of a soft yellow background. She has uneven colored dots and lines with one mark on almost each one of those scutes. You can see she's really wiggling. She's very strong. She has very strong back legs, which are great for crawling out of the water and climbing up onto logs or rocks on the warm riverbank so she can bask in some beautiful sunshine. So my friend Lou here is what we would call a red-eared slider turtle. She's a slider because when something scares her, she'll slide off of the rocks or the logs into the safety of the water. And these turtles also like to stack on top of one another. They like to hang out together. Now, red-eared slider turtles are not native to Riverwood. So if you go for a walk, you wouldn't necessarily see this species here. You would see its friend, a relative called a painted turtle. And I'll show you a picture of that shortly when I can put Lou back. Now, Lou is one of our ambassadors, and I'm holding her because she has a personality, just like people do. Every turtle that we have here living at Riverwood has their own character traits. And Lou is sweet and friendly, and she loves to eat blueberries. And she doesn't mind that I'm holding her because she's grown up as a pet turtle from the time she was tiny. Now, behind me, you might be able to see this big aquarium where we have another turtle that is just here. I think you might be able to see her moving around, and we'll just allow these two to say hello to each other through the glass. Our turtle in the tank is named Shelly, and she's actually a little bit grouchy. She doesn't like to be in the same tank with other turtles. She might take her sharp beak and nip at the other turtles to tell them that she needs some space. So we've given Shelly a tank all to herself, and you'll meet Lou's home when you come back on Thursday or Friday this week. Now, Shelly is a turtle that needs a lot of care because we have to try to recreate the habitat that they would live in if they were living in nature, further in the south, in their native range. So turtles need fresh, clean water. You can see all the way through this water to the back. My friends Stephanie and Aaron cleaned out this turtle tank last week, and it took them a pretty long time to do that. They do that every 2 weeks. So they need lots of fresh water, not salt water. And you might see some bubbles at the back of the tank, and those bubbles come from a huge filter. Just going to move our camera so you can see this big filter that's underneath our turtle tank that has to circulate the water many times every day to get rid of all of the turtle poop, because turtles are cute, but they sure are messy. They eat a lot of food, and we need to look after their water to make sure it's nice and clean. So I'm just going to adjust my screen here to make sure you can still see me. There we go. So we have to make sure that the water is nice and clear, but these turtles are only semi-aquatic. Semi means half, and that means that they need to swim around with these big, beautiful feet, but they also need a place to climb up out of the water. So we've built a platform that's like a pretend log or a rock. So our turtle can climb up on top, and if you notice the light is sort of red in color here, that's an indicator that it's a heat lamp. So this area is nice and toasty warm. It's about 30 degrees Celsius up here. The water is a nice cool 20 degrees Celsius. So we have to make sure that they have a warm basking area, warm water, so we manage that with heaters. So turtles' homes need a lot of attention and care. Turtles are kind of complicated pets. So one of the things that we also need to do to look after our turtle friends is to give them a proper meal. And I wonder if you could guess how many times turtles eat every day. Or how many times they might eat in a week. Maybe you can type your guesses into the chat and Stephanie can let us know. So today I'm gonna say thank you to our friend Lou. We're gonna say goodbye to Lou for just a moment. She'll be back, don't worry. So she's waving her feet at you, everyone, with her big turtle claws. You'll learn a little more about the turtles' bodies from Aaron on Thursday. I'm gonna tuck her down into a safe spot. And you might hear her bumping inside her container under the table, so you can listen for that sound. Now, turtles, when they're tiny, are protein hungry. They need to grow really quickly so that they can get big enough to get away from a lot of the predators. So some of the things that turtles begin eating when they're small might be crunchy aquatic snails, some tasty, delicious water bugs. They also might like to eat something like this. I'm not sure if you can see this container. I'm gonna hold it up to the camera for you. Nice and close. Oh, fell right on my laptop. Oh, look, it's typing an email for me. Thanks, worm. Here you go. So we have some night crawler worms, which are really big and squishy. And this, of course, would be tricky for a baby turtle to swallow this. So they start off eating small bits of protein. And by the time they're about 4 years old, they're big enough and they've grown fast enough that they like to switch their diet up a bit, and they'll go into salad mode. So a turtle salad looks something like this. You can see we have sort of a little forest of beautiful veggies. Hopefully this is going to make you all feel a little bit hungry to eat some fruits and vegetables today. So our menu for our turtle today includes some delicious Swiss chard, some arugula, a little leafy green lettuce, some sweet potato, cucumber. There's a little adorable raspberry in here, some blueberries, and even a bit of strawberry. They'll eat the carrot greens as well as the carrots. So we like to give our turtles lots of different types of fruits and vegetables to keep their diet varied. Now, that sometimes takes a lot of work, and we want to make sure that their diet is balanced. So we also supplement with, these are called Repti sticks. It's a commercial turtle food, kind of like dog food kibble that you would give to a dog or a cat. And I'll show you what it looks like. Just these little dry sticks that we sprinkle into the tank, and they float, and they make sure that our turtles have the right balance of nutrition. And we also need to give them some vitamins and minerals. So we give them something called a cuttle bone, which they chew on, and it helps to work like a nail file on their sharp beak. And it also gives them some tasty calcium. So our turtles have a very widely varied diet. And so what I'd like to do today is see how hungry our friend Shelly is in her tank. So I'm going to turn off my camera for just a moment, and I'm going to move my computer so that you can see what our turtle might like to eat today. I'm going to move it close so you'll be able to see. And so I'm just
had a lot of guesses coming in from your last question too.
Oh, really?
Yes, lots and lots of answers. So
okay, let's hear it.
So we got 20. So I'm assuming that's 20 a week, 20 times a week they eat. Vanessa asked 2. Lauren said 10 to 11. Linda said 1. Amy said 3 times a day. Sadia said 1 time a day, once a week. Jacqueline said 3 times a week. Oh, there's lots of guesses going on. So maybe if we continue to listen to Catherine, she will let us know how many times a week these turtles are actually eating.
Well, I don't know if you can see them, but just behind me, there are some little things that are swimming around in the tank here. And so we put some food in the tank that the turtles can eat anytime. So in this case, the fish could be friends or food for our turtle. They will eat live feeder fish. They'll chase them. And so they can snack anytime, but we feed our turtles 3 times per week when they're adults. So I have my delicious assortment of foods here that I have in a small snack tray. And I'm going to start by dropping some of this food into our tank. And I think our friend is sitting up top on the ramp. I'm not sure if you can see her right up here now, but she knows the color of our container of sticks. So I'm going to bring that color close to the glass. Oh, I can see she's starting to move. She's blinking her eyes really quickly. This has got her attention. And I'm going to see if we can encourage her to move down into the water where we can see her. And maybe I need to just adjust my computer, my screen a little bit. Can you see that okay? There we go. That's a little better. Okay, now I'm going to start by dropping some of these Repti sticks in the tank because Shelly started her life as a turtle living in a family's home, and the family could no longer keep her or look after her. So she moved into a classroom with a teacher named Mr. Taylor, who had her in his classroom for about 15 years. And when Mr. Taylor retired, our turtle was still needing a home. She's healthy and happy. I'm just going to see if I can move her over a little bit so she can find her food. She was used to eating this commercial turtle food. So this is like her comfort food, maybe a little like potato chips. So she's not really sure where to find it. So I'm just going to encourage her to move over here to find her food. I think she's found it already. Can you see that? Hopefully you can see that she's in the chat. You can let us know if you can see her. She's reaching up to the food that's floating on the surface. She takes a bite of that food with some water and then brings it down below the surface because she can't really chew her food. She has to swallow it whole with some water. So the next thing that's going to go into our tank is a little bit of turtle salad. So I've got some of these collard green or some of the Swiss chard and I'm going to drop down through the top, and let's see if our turtle is hungry for salad today. Let's find out. Okay. Here goes our salad greens down into her tank. There you go. Next goes the lettuce. Let's find out if she's interested in some lettuce. And you can see the filter is moving the water. The filter is moving the water, so it's carrying the food over to where you're standing. Now I'll just add this little cuddle bone in there. We'll see if she's interested in that. Nope, she's more interested in that food in the sticks and in the lettuce. Now here comes the sweet treat, like dessert. We're gonna add our berries into her tank. So we'll just add those in there. There we go. And finally, today is her lucky day. Our turtles get a worm snack about one time every month. Now, friends, if this is going to make you feel worried about our worm friend, this is maybe the time when you're not going to look at your camera, because I have this night crawler worm here that is very sleepy because it's very cold. It's been kept in the refrigerator, and it was bought at a pet store because this is healthy food for turtles. This is part of the food chain. So I'm going to take this worm friend and say thank you, and I'm going to offer it to our turtle to help keep our pet very healthy. So here comes our...
Catherine, can I just pop in quickly? There's just a lot of questions about how to see your turtle friend closer up in Zoom. So for all the classes that are watching right now on Zoom, there is a little button at the top right corner that says view. What you're going to do is you're going to click on that, and then you're going to click on speaker view, and that will make Catherine and our turtle friend a little bit bigger for you. I hope that answers your question just before Catherine actually throws a little wormy in. And Catherine, you're getting lots of questions, so we will keep some of those until the end of her presentation as well.
Excellent.
Thanks,
You're
Catherine.
welcome. So I hope my friends can see the screen a little better. Is that better now? You can see that a little better? She's moved way over here to the bottom of her tank, but here comes the worm. And when I drop this into the tank, I think she's going to come right on over. Here she comes, right up to the rock, right up close. So I'm so sorry, friend. Here you go. I'm going to drop this right down into her tank, and she knows it's coming. Here comes that worm. And the worm has just fallen below the surface here. Oh, she's interested in lettuce today, not worms. I think that's the first time that's ever happened. So I think you might be able to see the worm down here at the bottom. And she is going to be, I think, attracted to that eventually. So our turtle friends are extremely big eaters. They eat a ton of food. And if they were to be released in the environment, they would probably take up almost all of the food that's available, and they would outcompete our native painted turtle with a flat shell and red scoots around the outside. So it's really important that we keep these pets as pets and not release them into the environment. That would not be safe. Now, turtles are really amazing. They can inspire us to eat good food, and I wonder, based on the things that Shelly has eaten today, oh, it looks like her worm has disappeared. There it goes. I wonder what you would like to eat that's the same as Shelly. Maybe your classes can make a Venn diagram that shows the food that people eat and how that compares to the food that turtles eat. That's a fun activity because, frankly, some of the stuff she's eating looks delicious. Now, turtles are so fun. They've inspired many people to share stories about them. So I really recommend that you look at the Turtle Island Conservation Resource, which has stories about turtles. That might be possible for you to see that now. These are stories told from Indigenous perspective, in this case from a Haudenosaunee perspective. And it's really important to be able to learn about turtles through a variety of ways of knowing. And turtles also inspire us to tell stories. So some of you probably are familiar with turtles that you've seen on television, and maybe you've been inspired by their different personalities, like Friendly Lou and grouchy Shelly over here. So I wonder if any of you have seen the Mutant Teenage Ninja Turtles before. They all have really different personalities, just like individuals within a species. So it might be fun for you to think about turtles in this way. What foods do you eat that are the same as what turtles eat? And how can we protect turtles? And what can turtles inspire us to do in our everyday life? So we're going to just watch her enjoy her food. And I think I'd like to turn our attention over to my friend Carrie, who has some really fun activities all ready for you to share today.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Catherine. We learned so much about our turtle friends here, and it's just so great to see them busy and eating and knowing that they're so well cared for. I can see Shelly in the background or going just crazy over what you've given her to eat. So that's so cool. So what I thought that we could do here is I thought I would share with you a craft that that we make sometimes here at Riverwood when we have programs or when we have summer camp programs. And this is something that you can all try at home or in class when you're in school, and it uses some pretty simple materials. So the sorts of things, I'm going to show you our craft here. I'm going to bring you this one up nice and close to my camera here, and you can see my little turtle, and it's a weaving craft. So it's made out of some sticks and some yarn, but I've used popsicle sticks here. So I've got some popsicle sticks, but you don't need to go out and get popsicle sticks if you don't have any popsicle sticks. You could even go out into your yard or park and you could gather some twigs, because those are things that we could use as well. And I have wrapped mine in yarn. You can see that I've put some nice colored yarn here. So I've got different colors here that I use. I've got this green yarn, which is kind of fun because that makes me think of a turtle. But I've also got this yarn that's got lots of different colors, browns and yellows. But if you didn't want to use yarn, you could just use some garden string, or even I found this bunch of string in my garden bucket that I think I took off of a tree. So you could use anything you like to weave with. If you were going to use the popsicle sticks and you wanted to make them a little fancier, you could grab some paint and you could paint those sticks so that they turn green, like the color of our turtles, but you could just leave them plain if you wanted to, or if you wanted to make a hot pink turtle, you can make a pink turtle. So you don't have to make it the color of our turtles. You can do whatever you like. So the first thing that we're going to do with our sticks is we want to make this shape of, I'm going to show you one here that I've already glued together. So we want to make sure that we've got this one long stick that looks like the body, and then these sticks here would look like the legs. So I've just taken a little bit of glue and I've glued my 3 sticks together. Now you can use hot glue, or you can just use craft glue like this. It doesn't have to be fancy. Or if you don't have glue, you could even just tie it together first. You could take your string. You might need an extra set of hands, maybe a help from somebody to just hold it in place for you. But you can even do that just by tying the string. So you can see here that I made a little face on my turtle. So I took a marker And let me see, I've got a marker right here. And so I drew a little face. So I like to put my face on and my feet on before I start weaving, because then I know where the top of my turtle is. So I'm gonna just make a little face on here. I put a couple little eyes and a little mouth, you can see. And then these are like their little feet. So you could see when Catherine was showing you the turtles that they had little claws. So I'm just gonna mark on here where, oh, there we go. Make it a little higher so that we can see. We don't want to do the back one because that's kind of the tail. So if we just make a little marker on here, then we've sort of got the start of our turtle shape. We got a little face and we've got our little feet. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pick some yarns. So I think that I am going to use this colorful yarn, although maybe it would have been a good idea if I found the end of it before we got started. Okay, here's the end of my yarn. So what we do, just to start it off, and I'm gonna hold it, I'm gonna try and hold it so that you can see. There we go. So I don't know if you can see here. I'm just going to wrap it around. And what that does is it just kind of covers over the middle section of the turtle. And it also, if I turn it over, you can see this little string here is the bit that I started with. And now it's nice and tight so that my thread is not going to come detached. So we're just gonna wind that around a couple of times so that the middle is nice and covered. You can see the belly of our turtle, the beginning of its shell is done. Okay, so once we've got the middle section started, the weaving is really simple. We just wrap around one popsicle stick at a time, and then we rotate and wrap the next one. So I'll show you what it looks like. You wrap around once, you turn it, you wrap around the next one. Wrap it around, turn it, wrap it around the next one. Can you see what I'm doing there? I'm just wrapping around that leg, and then I go, as I turn, I move to the next one. So my string here is quite thin. This could take a while. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you one that I've already started. But what I want to point out is when I'm wrapping, I'm not just wrapping right on top. I want to bring that string nice and close and buddy it up right next to the string that was on there before. So I'm going to put this one down because it might take me a few minutes to get it all up there. And I'm going to show you this one that I started earlier. So can you see there, if I hold it like that, you can see that the strings lie right next to each other and that they cross over each other on the legs. So if I were to continue to wrap this, we would wrap it and then, whoops, facing the wrong way. There we go. I would wrap it around and then bring it down so that it's nice and tight against the string. So wrap it around. And then if you keep doing this all the way around, eventually you'll have this beautiful yarn woven turtle shell. I'm just going to go around. I'm just passing by the head one more time. I'm going to show you how we finish it off. It's just a simple way of tying, but you will need to have a pair of scissors. So I'm just going to take my yarn here. I'm going to take my scissors and cut a little bit off there. And then you'll see that all I want to do is tie, oh, let me see if I can do that up here. I just want to tie my string through my loop. And you can tie that a couple of times, just pull it nice and tight. You can tie it on the back, you pull it nice and tight, and then that way your string won't come untied. Now, one thing you could do if you wanted to is I've left my string hanging on the end of the tail. But if I wanted to hang it from the top, maybe I want to clip it onto my backpack or something, I can leave my string nice and long up close to the top of the turtle, and then I could hang it on my backpack. And there's lots of other things we can do here too. So you'll see that the popsicle sticks that I used are just regular size sticks. But if you've ever been into a craft store, you'll see that you can make mega size popsicle sticks. Well, of course, that's going to make a big turtle. So you can see here that I've got two little turtles, one slightly larger than the other, and you'll see the difference in the string. So I have some really super chunky fat wool, and that's what I used for my big turtles. I like this guy because he looks sort of surprised by the whole thing. So you can take some big popsicle sticks and some big fat yarn, and this is a fun activity to do. So maybe if you've got little people, little kindergartners who maybe their fingers need to work with bigger projects, we can do this. Other thing that's really cool is if you don't want to use popsicle sticks, remember I mentioned before that we could just go out into the garden or into the park and pick up some sticks. If you pick up 3 sticks or pick up 1 stick and cut it into 3 pieces that are sort of equal, and then I did use a little bit of glue on one, but I found it easier just to tie it with a bit of string. And then I went searching for some materials in my house that I had already. So I found my stick, and I also found a little bit of leather, and I found some raffia, so some paper string. And then I tied it onto my wooden sticks, and look right here. We've got a little turtle head. So all that is, that's a photograph. It's a picture that I downloaded from the internet. So I just looked for some turtles and I printed it out at home and I stuck it on my turtle. But you could draw a face. You could put on some googly eyes if you wanted, or you could just leave it without anything and you would have this beautiful woven turtle shell. So I think if we hold this one up, and Catherine, if you hold up your turtle there, well, they look pretty similar, don't you think?
It looks perfect, Carrie. It's so beautiful. I love it. I think Lou approves too.
All right. So there we go. If you want to have some turtle fun in your house or in your classroom, you could create some turtles using some pretty simple techniques and some materials that you have right around your house. I saw a little note there that somebody said, how about toothpicks? Whoa, toothpicks would be really cool. Now, if you were using toothpicks, they're pretty tiny, so you would have to be very careful how you wind those, but absolutely, you could make toothpicks, or you could use big giant sticks, or anything. You could use straws, anything that you have lying around in your house that you just want. What the important thing to know here is that you have 3 pieces, one that would act as the head, and then the other 2 that would act as the feet. Awesome. All right.
Wonderful. It looks great. So I'm sure a bunch of people will be doing this with their class right after this program. I think we are going to now go on to questions. So if anyone has any questions for Catherine or Carrie or Shelly or Lou, you can type that in the Q&A chat, or you can also type it in the regular chat. And that goes for people watching on Facebook. I see there's a few people watching on Facebook as well. So if you have any questions, just type it in the chat too. But we do have some questions to start. So Elizabeth has asked, how old are the turtles?
Wow, it's a great question. And because our turtles came to us in different ways, they are of different ages. So Shelly here is our oldest turtle. She was adopted by a student's family and then went and lived with Mr. Taylor in his school classroom for 15 years, and then has lived at Riverwood since, I believe, 2003. So Shelly is about 35 years old, or maybe a little older, and she looks fabulous. Now Lou is younger, and we can tell because the red stripe on the side of her head is brighter red. Turtle's color fades as they get older. And also her carapace is not quite as dark olive green as it is for our Shelly. So there are individual differences between turtles. And also when they are baby turtles, these spots on their plastron are much smaller and they can grow as they age. So that's one of the ways we can tell how old they are. But it's possible that these turtles could live to be 50 years old. And I can vouch that that's pretty old.
Great. And I guess that kind of answers one person's question, is saying, how long do turtles live? So turtles in general, or maybe all of the different Ontario turtles?
Such a good question. There's a very high mortality rate for turtles in Ontario, and it's one of the reasons that many of our turtles are listed as species at risk. One of the problems that turtles have in the wild is that people get around by driving cars, and turtles like to go to the sides of roads where it's warm or where there might be good nesting habitat. And so a lot of our turtles are hit by cars. When they're small, little loony or toonie sized turtles are tasty treats for raccoons. They're tasty treats for mink, for great blue herons. They are eaten by a wide variety of predators in our river ecosystem. So very few turtles survive to adulthood. So most turtles in the wild do not live nearly as long as our well cared for captive turtles, like our pet friends.
Thanks, Catherine. Vanessa has said, our class wants to know, do the turtles get along?
Gosh.
Good question, Vanessa.
Oh, Stephanie, I think you could probably vouch for this, that turtles are a lot like people. You know, they really have their own personalities, and
absolutely.
Lou gets along pretty well with everyone, wouldn't you say, Stephanie?
Yeah, she's you know what, there's about 4 of them that get along really well and are pretty kind to each other. But then, as Catherine was saying, Shelly, who's alone in her little tank, she is not so friendly, and that's why she gets her own tank.
Yeah, she's a snappy one. Not a snapping turtle, though.
No. From a grade 1 friend, how do turtles pull their head and legs into their shell?
That's a really great question. And I know our friend Erin is going to be talking a lot about how the bodies of turtles work. And she's going to be talking about 2 different turtles on one other turtle actually on Thursday. And she can tell you a lot about that. But it would be an interesting thing to learn about whether all turtles can pull their head and legs back into their shell or not, because turtles in Ontario can be very different in that way. When I was holding Lou up to the glass, Shelly was feeling nervous, so she pulled her head right back into her shell, and that's one way that they can protect themselves. So there's actually some space in their shell. I'm not sure if you can see this as I hold it up, but there's a little pocket in here. Can you see that pocket? So it's possible for, there, oh, what a good cooperative turtle. Oh my goodness, just right on cue. She's got space to pull her legs up into safety, so her legs can't be grabbed by hungry predators.
Great. There's a couple questions about the physical features of a turtle, and I think we're going to keep those for Erin on Thursday. But Pamela has asked, is it hard to take care of turtles?
Well, you know, Stephanie is an expert at that, because for a little while this year, the turtles actually went and lived at Stephanie's house when we couldn't be in our classroom. So she had to build a whole new enclosure for them in her home, which was super amazing. They had a great vacation at Stephanie's Turtle Spa. And then they've come back to Riverwood, and every 2 weeks, this whole aquarium is emptied out. The whole thing is cleaned and scrubbed, and we have to use special treatment chemicals to treat the water to make it safe for the turtles. The big filter that I showed you has 3 different layers, and we have to take it apart and wash all of the different pieces. We have to take care of their food and make sure they're getting a balanced diet. And then I wonder if any of you have been to the doctor before, but we have to take our turtles to the veterinarian too, because just like people, they can have health problems, and it's our responsibility to take them to the veterinarian to get them the care that they deserve. So if there is a lot of time involved in looking after a dog or a cat, I would say it's about the same looking after a turtle. They're a big responsibility. They're wonderful though, and we really love them here.
A grade 2 class has asked, why do they like to nest in the sunshine?
Oh, Stephanie, that's such a great question. And I think on Friday, you're going to be spending your time talking about how turtles adjust to the seasons in a place like Riverwood, where we have summer, fall, winter, and spring. Our turtles don't have to deal with the seasons, our pet turtles that stay inside, but that's a really good question. And Stephanie, I think that's something you're going to talk about on Friday, isn't it? So I hope you can come back and join Stephanie on that day to meet another turtle.
Yeah, you're meeting a new turtle every day, and it's going to be on a new topic. So we'll save that one for Friday then. How about we do 2 more questions? You have time for 2 more questions, Catherine and Carrie?
Absolutely.
Okay, so Catherine has asked, how many species of turtle are there in Ontario?
Oh gosh, what a good question. Stephanie, I wonder, would you like to talk about that at all? Stephanie has an amazing backdrop.
Sure, here, I'll see if I can. 1 second. Let me see if I can make myself a little bit bigger. There we go. So you can see all of our turtle friends behind me here. And technically we have 9 species of turtle here in Ontario. The most common one being the painted turtles, but also our little big snapping turtle that's down here. And a lot of the other turtles are really rare. And that's why it's so important that we protect these turtle species, especially ones like this, which is our wood turtle, because these turtles are low in population. They're very rare. So things like road mortalities or habitat destruction can really impact the populations of these turtles. And it's the reason why we want to protect them for the future. So that's a great question.
Thanks, Stephanie.
I'm going to make you spotlight there again so that we can see our turtle friend. And let's take one more question, shall we? Carrie, did you see any questions that popped out to you?
Well, I did see one question that I think we should address, because we've had questions saying, if we were to find a turtle in the park, could we take it home as a pet?
Oh, I didn't see that one. That's a really good question.
That is such a good question. I don't know about you watching from your classrooms or at home, but I love animals so much. I feel so excited when I see them, and I want to help them and take care of them. And sometimes we feel like bringing them home might keep them safe from predators, but it's actually better to leave animals in their environment so that they can stay in their habitat with natural sunlight and clean water in their environment. They have other turtles that they can interact with. So it's not a good idea to bring any wild animal home. And it's also against the law in Ontario to bring wild animals home and keep them as pets. But there's good news if you're interested in turtles and taking care of a turtle that needs a forever home. There's a rescue organization called Little Rescue, Little RESQ, run by a very devoted volunteer named Mark Ouellette, who runs that organization now. And he's helped us a lot at Riverwood taking care of our turtles. There are many turtles that are waiting for their forever home. So if you really love animals, that's a great way to go. Thank you for that question.
That is a great question. And just to add on to that, if you are in the Toronto area, the Toronto Humane Society also has several red-eared sliders that are looking for a forever home, keeping in mind, of course, the size of the tank and the filter and all the money that is involved with taking care of our turtles. We love them dearly, but they are a whole lot of work. So keep that in mind and do your research before adopting. But if you're very serious about it, there are a lot of turtles that are up for adoption that are looking for a home.
And Stephanie, I wonder if I could add, if you find a turtle that seems to be injured, you should call the Toronto Wildlife Center. And there's also a Peterborough Turtle Trauma Center that do amazing work. Turtles that look like they're so badly hurt with injured limbs or even very badly cracked shells can still be helped. Turtles are good at healing. So if you find a turtle that's injured, maybe then you can be a helper. But it's important to know how to approach a turtle. If you try to touch them near the front of their body, they're probably going to bite you. So make sure that you're careful and ask for help from Toronto Wildlife Center.
That's wonderful. That's great. Okay, we have so many questions, so many wonderful questions. We will be back on Thursday at 1 p.m. and Friday at 1 p.m. to answer more questions. So please join us again with your classes for those two programs. You'll meet a new turtle and we'll be talking about different features of wild turtles as well. And Carrie is going to be joining us for both of those as well with a new craft. So hopefully that you can try her first craft and then she'll be giving you 2 other turtle themed crafts, which are really awesome. We want to thank you all for joining us today. Again, if you would like more information about the Riverwood Conservancy, or if you would like to book one of us, our educators, to actually come to your classroom, please visit the riverwoodconservancy.org/virtual education, and we will hopefully be able to meet you in your class. So I want to thank you all so much for coming. Thank you, Catherine and Carrie, for your wonderful time. And thank you, Lou and Shelly, for showing us all about you. And I hope you guys have a great day.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Everyone.